The sun's shining. The birds are chirping. You know what that means? It's Halloween decoration day!
That's right. It's Halloween decoration day. One of the greatest days of the year. I love Halloween decoration day because it's our chance to finally set up everything that we've been working on throughout the year. We're gonna get to set up all of our props, all of our lights, all the electronics, all the projection, everything.
I'm gonna go ahead and stop you right there, overly optimistic, Michael. You see, Halloween decoration day didn't exactly happen as planned this year. Normally, we have about a week to prep, where we get everything out of storage, we make sure everything is where it should be, maybe repair some damaged items from years past. But this year, Halloween decoration day, or Halloween decoration weekend, I should say, was gonna be really hard for us to actually get anything done. Our niece's birthday is on Saturday, and we have family flying in on Sunday, so there just wasn't gonna be enough time. So, on Friday, we decided to have decoration day a week early, which means we'd start decorating on Saturday, which gave us absolutely no prep time. And, you know, in one of the earlier videos in this channel, actually our introductory video, so if you haven't checked it out, you might want to take a look at it, but I said we're going to share our triumphs and our failures and everything in between. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and chalk this one up as in between. It wasn't a complete failure. We got a lot accomplished, but it wasn't exactly a triumph. There is still a lot of work that needs to be done. So let's go ahead and get into it. We're going to show you guys how we set everything up this year, what we got done, what we didn't get done. And one thing I will go ahead and mention that I didn't get on video was the fact that our projection mapping isn't complete yet. There's nothing being projected on the house. Normally that's one of the first things that we get done, but like I said, you know, life happens, things get in the way. So let's check out what we did do. All right, so Halloween Town is the section that we probably added the most to this year. Biggest piece that we've added to Halloween Town was our 13-foot Jack Skellington. I'm probably the most excited about this animatronic as opposed to any of the other animatronics that we have. There's going to be a separate unboxing video that we're going to be releasing in the near future where we go over the entire process of putting it together, so stay tuned for that. But this thing is so cool. I mean, first off, it's giant. I mean, it's 13 feet tall. But then also it moves, it lights up, it talks, it sings. It's just a really cool animatronic. And it is going to be the showcase of our Nightmare Before Christmas section. Now, after we set up Jack, we began to set up our smaller Jack Skellington along with Sally and Oogie Boogie. We have a couple of these, I don't know what you call them, the Curly Q Mountains from Nightmare Before Christmas that I built out of just a sheet of plywood and then painted black and put some braces behind it. And then we have our lock, shock, and barrels figures that we set up, and a few other random Halloween decorations. You can see I'm putting up these lights. Those are really cool. They're actually vintage, old Halloween lights from probably the 80s. And then the last thing that I set up in here is our inflatable that just doesn't really fit anywhere else. So it just kind of made its way into Halloween Town, along with some of our other random Halloween decorations, like those lights I mentioned earlier. They don't really fit into other themes, so Halloween Town encompasses everything Halloween. So we set it up there. So let's take a look at the final results. So we have a purple spotlight shining on from the ground up onto Jack, and then he has his own lights that are built into his bow tie, so it gives his face more illumination. And then we have some of our pumpkins that we have lit up from the inside. And then I have another blue spotlight shining on lock, shock, and barrel, and then it of course goes up into the bushes and the trees to illuminate those as well. The vintage lights I mentioned earlier, a lot of the bulbs are out, so I have to replace a lot of those bulbs, so only a few of them are lit up right now. And I just have a green light shining on Jack and Oogie Boogie and Sally and Zero. So let's move on to the Hidden Creek Cemetery. We did add a few additions to the cemetery this year, and we're adding a few more throughout the season. We added one new realistic tombstone and a few busts. The biggest addition that we made this year was the gravedigger from the Haunted Mansion. I wanted to add this. I didn't think I was going to add it this year. That was going to be in the future, but we found it at Lowe's and went ahead and bought them. Now for the smaller tombstones, I basically took two small pieces of a 2x4 and made an L shape and attached it to the back of the tombstone, and then there's a piece that goes on the ground. And I do have a hole in each of those that I could put a stake through it if I wanted to, just to hold them in place. And then for the larger tombstone, it's either rebar or posts that are attached to the back of the tombstone that I hammer into the ground. I also set up the tombstones in a way where the larger tombstones are up front, the smaller tombstones in the back, trying to create kind of like a forced perspective look to make it look like it's a larger area than it actually is. And then once I got all the tombstones in place, it was time to set up our cemetery fence. Now, I'm not a huge fan of our cemetery fence. It's very low, it takes forever to set up, and at nighttime it's hard to see, and if you're walking around you can trip on it. And anyway, at some point we'll have a much bigger, larger fence, but not this year. Fence is set up, tombstones are in place. Let's take a look at the final results. So, like I said, the new Crypt Keeper is probably my favorite thing about the cemetery this year. He just looks really cool. He moves, he has his lantern, he kind of swings it back and forth, and he just adds a whole new layer to our entire cemetery. And this is one of the busts that I was mentioning that we added to the cemetery this year. And essentially there is just a dowel that goes through the entire thing, the post at least, and then it goes up into the middle section of the bust to hold them in place. Now with the cemetery, I have two large green kind of spotlights on either side of the cemetery, and then some smaller purple lights that I hide behind the tombstones. I really like that look of the corresponding colors, like with the purple and the green. I just think it looks really good at night. I may add some more lights at some point, but for now, it's up, it's running, and it looks pretty good. So as I stated in a previous video when I went over our planning for 2023, the zombie outbreak is probably our least decorated section of the haunt. Not as many props as some of the other sections. We have our zombie pallet that lights up from underneath, and we have some arms kind of sticking out from that, and another hand that's holding a help me sign. We have a zombie kind of hanging from the tree and some other random signs, and then a kind of a groundbreaker zombie as well, along with our giant light-up zombie hand. And that's it for now. There are a couple zombie heads on stakes towards the back of the section, but there are a lot of plans for the future for this, so you'll see this section evolve quite a bit over time. And then at night, with the haunt lights on, like I said before, that pallet lights up from underneath with some red lights, that zombie hand lights up as well. And then I only have just one red LED spotlight facing this section right now. It could use some more light, but I'm hesitant to add anything to it yet until we add some more features to it. I don't want to take lights away from other sections quite yet, so expect this to evolve over time, but let's take a look at the final results. Alright, so let's get into the Kraken's Cove. This section took me longer to set up this year than it probably has ever taken me to set it up. Well, first off, we have figured out a great way to move our pirate ship from storage to the front yard. In the past, it took at least 3 people, 3 adults, I should say, to carry this thing. It's not super heavy, but it's just very awkward to carry. It's also quite sharp. There's a lot of screws and stuff that are sticking out of certain areas. So anyway, we bought this wagon that you can take the side, front, and back off, and it just makes it so much easier. We kind of set it on that wagon and just balance it and just slowly move it from the backyard to the front yard. And then once we have it in place, or at least close to where we want to put it, then we can put our brace on that keeps it from falling over. So we got it right in the general area, and I just hold it up while we get that brace on there. And the brace itself is made out of a 4x4 and some 2x4s, and it just kind of wedges in place. And it could probably just hold it on its own, but I just want to be extra careful in case people come up and try to touch the pirate ship or climb on it or whatever. So I don't remember if we got it on camera or not, but there are 2 stakes, good-sized stakes, that I put into the ground on either side of that wedge, and then I actually screw the stakes into the wedge, so that way we can make sure that it's extra secure and will not fall over at any time. And we have seen quite a bit of weather and wind. Kids have tried to climb on it, and it has not fallen over yet, so fingers crossed, knock on wood, that's not going to happen in the future. So now that we got the ship in place, it's time to get the rest of the decorations out. The sail, basically I take a post and just shove it into the ground, beat it into the ground, put that sail over it, and then just kind of place the Kraken tentacles where I think they look good. That one pirate sitting on the barrel with his treasure and everything, he's really, he's a cool decoration piece and gets a lot of attention, but he's really there just to hide stuff. A lot of electronics go on behind him. We've got the pirate that's kind of coming out of the ground, or looks like he's going to be underwater. And then, of course, the pirate drinking. All right, so here's a quick little tutorial. Our sail has received quite a bit of damage over the years from hanging up, and I needed to put new grommets in to hold the sail in place. So if you've never put grommets into material before, it's actually kind of easy. So let's go through this. Let's go through this tutorial. So the first thing you do is you poke the hole through the material using the little grommet tool. Puts it just at the right circle. Once you've done that, you take the little grommet holder, put it underneath the circle, put the grommet on that little holder on the underside of the fabric, and then you take the piece that the grommet folds over, I guess you could say, on the other side of the fabric. Then you take your grommet tool that makes sure that it folds it over properly, put it in place, and then you hit it a few times with your hammer, and you're done. So that was a quick tutorial. So now that we have the sail repaired, we can put it back in place. I also needed to repair some of the rope, so I just replaced it with new rope. The old rope is looking kind of dingy and kind of worn on the edges. So because of that, I also had to attach the new rope, a lot of super glue, or not super gluing, but hot gluing on the ends, and then even around in the middle to keep it in place and make sure that sail doesn't slide around, because it is just made out of PVC, so it can easily slide through the holes in that larger PVC piece, and it is on an angle, and wind does blow it. I did cut some holes in the cloth just to make it a little bit less like a sail, and hopefully that air can blow through a little bit better. So now that we've done that, it's kind of onto the finishing touches. We've got our skeletons in place. So we got our netting and small skeleton aquatic animals. We have a little frog and an octopus and some fish, and then the ship's anchor. I just wanted to kind of have it hanging over the side. And then on to the final step, which is the mermaid skeleton on the front of the ship. I'm gonna probably update this, hopefully this year, and I'll make a video about that. It just kind of blends in with the wood. It's kind of a brass color, but I really wanted to have a worn brass look and have it more shiny and stick out, and make some modifications to the mermaid tail. But anyway, basically I've got the tail in place, I have the top in place, and then I screw the two of them together right at the torso, and then or the pelvis, I should say, and then that's it. Now the pirate section is one of my favorites at night because there's a lot going on with different lights. So we have this just small little lamp sitting there with that pirate kind of on his own, trying to escape with the treasure. And like I said, he's really there to hide the electronics. What you don't see is behind his barrel, and even behind the pirate itself, tons of cords. And also there is a blue kind of water light that's making that water effect on the ground right now. That's actually on the pirate's back. You can kind of see it a little bit. I also have small lights, small red lights, I should say, that are facing each of the different tentacles coming from the Kraken. Now, this year I did shine a blue light on the ship. In years past, I shined a green light, but it seemed like this year it was kind of taking away from the water effect. There's too much green and not enough blue. I might still add another green light just a little bit higher, so kind of like halfway up the ship is lit up with green. Not completely sold on that yet, we'll see. But like I said, there's those red lights on the tentacle, and you can even see those water lights kind of reflecting off the tentacles of the Kraken as well. And not great in this video, but the ground even looks like there's kind of water flowing with those, like I said, with those water lights. And once again, I did not get to everything that I wanted to with Decoration Day this year. So our pirate that is drinking in the barrel is drinking nothing right now. There's no liquid flowing. Previously, I made it what looked like wine, just like a dark color. It worked, but you couldn't really see it at night. So I might do like more of a neon greenish color liquid this year. We'll see. And then, last but not least, our little pirate lurking in the shadows here. Also in the past, I had a solar light that shined on him specifically, so you can kind of see him. That solar light is dead. I could maybe repair it, but for now, he's in the shadows. So the Forbidden Forest is the section that we were the least prepared for this year. I didn't even get to half of the stuff that I wanted to get to on decoration weekend. So you'll just have to bear with me on this one. We did get the giant spider set up. That one was the first thing that we did. So once we got that giant spider, all of his legs attached and everything, next thing was to move on to the giant spider web. This thing is a pain. It gets tangled every year. It's not fun to untangle it, but it wasn't terrible this year. But anyway, we got that giant spider web up, and then I was able to at least put up one of my cobwebs that we made from beef netting, and then it was on to the witches, which the witches are pretty easy. Now, we did have a flying witch that looks like she hits a tree. The straps broke, so I wasn't able to attach her. And then I did take our 3 witch sisters that are kind of standing around the cauldron and get those set up. I am going to be doing some modifications to those later. This is one of my favorite decorations in the haunt. It's because it's one of the first ones, and it was what really got us into doing our own decorations. The lady of the manor built that, and it was just basically foam, and it just turned out great. And it's seen better days, but I still love that decoration. You can't see here, but I hung, looks like a person wrapped up in a web hanging upside down from one of the pieces of fishing line that we had hanging. And then I just started placing the smaller spiders throughout the haunt. Once again, you can't really see, but I did attach one to the spider web and then a few others. And that's as far as I got. So the hanging ghosts, additional webs, lights, none of that is done yet. And then finally, the house decorations. Now, the main focal point of the front of the house is the projection show. But when the projection show is on its downtime, there are decorations that we'd like to have lit up and going in front of the house. So first off is we have purple lights that I string up every year along the gutter on the bottom floor. And then those lights, like I said, will stay on when the downtime during our projection show, and then whenever the show is in full swing, those lights will turn off. Now, beyond those purple lights, we also have what looks like hanging lanterns on the porch. That looks like there's fire burning, so I got those set up. And then we also have the sitting scarecrow animatronic from Spirit Halloween. Now, throughout this season, it kind of sits there by the front door just to keep it out of the rain. Halloween night, we bring it down so that way it gives a little jump scare to people that try to get candy. I also added the skulls to the front of the stairs, just giant skulls. And then we have a coffin on, oh wait, the wreath. We have to remember the wreath. There's the giant coffin that we keep in the corner. Now, the side of the house I already got started before I started filming. You can see the butler, that kind of towering jack-o'-lantern thing. That little mini blow-up is my daughter's favorite decoration from when she was younger, and we have to set it up every year. We also have light-up eyes behind the door that you can see. More of the skulls by the doors as well. And then there's a light shining on that butler that really creates a cool effect at night against the wall. And then the last piece of the house decorations is this giant cat blow-up that we actually found at Goodwill. So we had a great deal on this thing, and it's huge. So it just goes over the walkway from our driveway to our back deck. And like I said, it's just huge and cool, and we got it dirt cheap, so might as well use it. And here are the final results. Now, one thing I didn't get on film as well is the little Halloween haunted house blow up that we have that kids will actually walk through on their way to get candy on Halloween night. But then we have, like I said, that haunted butler with the light shining on him. I took our outdoor lights and replaced the light bulbs with the flickering flame. You can see those light up eyes in the doorway, and then, like I said, that really cool shadow effect from the butler. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, just because we didn't get everything done this weekend doesn't mean we're not going to get everything set up. We are going to do a final walkthrough video at the end of the haunt season, so that way you guys get to see Hidden Creek Manor in all of its glory. So stick around for that one. And in the meantime, you might want to hit the like or subscribe button. That way you can stay up to date and notified with everything that's going on here at Hidden Creek Manor. So happy haunting, and we'll see you in the next one. Congratulations. You made it to the end of the video. As a reward for sticking around, you may now watch one of these two videos. The choice is yours, but choose wisely.